Hi there everyone, Scapegoat Stephen back with another video battle report. Again, this was filmed at our Fanitball club at the Digi Diner in Margate in Kent, UK. So I must say this game was filmed before the Errata dropped, so there will be a couple of bits about some of the teams that perhaps were changed slightly with some of the players, but nothing hugely fundamental would have changed about the way the game played out. So the game for you is Scather Hunters versus Esther's Brewers. So let's get right down to the action. So, running down the Hunters side, we've got Matagi, Minerva, Scather, who is kicking off with the ball, Sina, Farhad and Vet Minx. On the Brewers side, we've got Fangtooth, Original Spigot, Pint Pot, Esther's, Mash and Scum, because yes, I'm trying out the 4 Resilience Models team. I'll give my thoughts on it after the match. I think it has its pluses and its negatives. Mostly the negatives being it's a 1-inch melee team for the most part. It dishes out quite a bit of damage, but I think it caps out on the amount of influence that certain models can take. And that's basically my feelings on it, so I kind of said that without having to worry about finishing off at the end of the video. So, Scather kicks, quite a short kick. Spigot times called himself for free because of the aura. He sprints and taps in the ball to Scum. Matiagi sprints, nice easy. Scum will shadow-like backwards and jog into the cover of my own goalpost, just to try and cause some issues for the Hunters player. So Scather activates. Scather will create a snowball and pass the ball to Sina after dropping her fast ground. She'll walk, Blessing of the Moon Goddess herself, and attack Pint Pot. So Pint Pot will counter. She'll bonus time and get no hits. The counter attack from Pint Pot does a 1 damage push. So she buys another attack. I foolishly took her out of Fangtooth melee, so she got an extra die. But she can't now get to Scum, tackle and score a goal. So she gets a momentous triple dodge, then attacks Spigot. From that, after she got herself into the cover by that obstacle there, and then she just momentously dodges back. So Fangtooth will charge Scather. She will defensive stance, he will score a momentous knockdown, and then punch her again for a momentous 2. Then, it was quite a bold move actually, really, to go for the Scather attempt on the goal, but you know, it would set the pace of the game quite quickly. So Minerva will sprint. Esther's tools up Mash and then sprints herself, although can't get very far because she's crowded in by a lot of her own models. Minx will then sprint, going over the fast ground, so going a country mile. Pint Pot will then sprint and attack the knocked down Scather and get a momentous 2. Farhad will furious himself further up the board. Mash will then jog to the other side of that obstacle and attack Scather. So he's going to score a momentous 4, a non-momentous 2, momentous push, a momentous push and a non-momentous 2 overall, due to a couple of wraps from the knockdown and the crowd up and the gang ups even. And then at the end of the turn, Sina will sprint. I think we leave Scather on 3 hit points at this stage, or maybe 1. It's quite low. She's knocked down. You know, she's not going to be doing much even next turn, and quite clearly I'm winning the momentum race this turn. So some deliberation about cards here. In the end, I literally play a 1-point card because I have 6 points of momentum to the Hunters player 1. So Jim plays Wingbacks, so he gets a free Shadow-like, and I play Hunker Down for the bonus on the counter-attack dice. So I take the initiative. I will start with Pint Pot, and we use one of our 6 beer tokens to attack Scather, doing the momentous 2, so actually she must have been on 1 health, which makes it 2-0 to the Brewers. I then choose to charge Minx. I don't really want to get a protracted fight in with Sina in the centre, although I maybe I should have started that early, but instead of going for Vet Minx, I choose not to heroic for free with Esther's because I fear the counter-attack may take away my resilience protection from that. I just do a single point of damage. I then use a beer token to remove to activate my heroic. Then I use a beer token to smashing face. So we do some damage to Minx 2 and the bleed condition. So Minx will activate and she will Shadow Light backwards and attack Pint Pot to trigger the heroic. She then does a Momentous Trap, a Momentous 2, a Momentous 2 in a row, so it's 4 damage. Pint Pot places a trap that she can do every turn, clears conditions, and does a Blessing of the Sunfather on herself, and then puts up Mark for Death. So you get bonus charges against Pint Pot, whilst because he's in her melee range. Words. So we'll activate Fangtooth. He will heroic, and he will charge Cena. Now, after much deliberation here, I didn't roll too great on the charge, I'll be honest. And in the end, I go with the Momentous Knockdown, just because I want the bear on the floor, maybe set up for later. Then I buy another attack and get an Unmasking. So I'll push Minerva away and just keep the bear quite close to me. I'll say the bear. Let's use the bear's name, Cena. So Minerva will just jog back into melee with me, and she'll attack Fangtooth to trigger Resilience. She'll then do a Momentous I Spy, and then I believe a Momentous Harrier AoE. So there you go. I'll use Spigot. Spigot hasn't got a direct charge on Cena, so it does Times Called for free again, thanks to Arya, and sprints, and then starts buying attacks into Cena. So now it's worth remembering that Cena here has Tough Hide, so any damage will be reduced by 1 that I inflict on her. So we get in, obviously. Spigot also has bonus tack from his Flawed ability, so he gets +2 tack against knockdown models. So he does a Momentous 2, which goes down to 1, a Momentous 3 that goes down to 2, a non-Momentous 2 that goes down to 1, and then another Momentous 3 down to 2, a non-Momentous 2 down to 1, and heals Fangtooth by 4. So actually he does about half of Cena's health, so I'm quite happy with that. I've got 2 players in there against Cena, although Cena's about to make me feel bad about that. So in comes Matiagi. Matiagi will use his shot that he can do. Basically makes a playbook attack from 6 inches away once per turn to attack Fangtooth to do a Harrier. He'll then Snapfire to do a 2 damage bleed to Fangtooth, and then do the same to Spigot, but it just does 1 damage because of Tough Hide, and then ends his activation. So at this point, I seem to have... Oh, sorry, the Scum jogs forward. I sort of missed that on my notes. Cena will then stand, sacrifice her movement, and attack Fangtooth. Does a Momentous Mauling, which is not good. It's a pretty powerful attack. And then Spigot is now snared. And then he does Momentous 6, Momentous 2 to Fangtooth, followed by Momentous 6, Momentous 1, which leaves Fangtooth on 2 health, and Cena heals for 4. And as you can see, Spigot's been pushed back by that mauling. So, Estes will activate, and Estes will pass to Mash, and Mash will then use the momentum to do a 4-inch dodge just over that piece of scenery, so he can choose some different charge targets throughout the turn. It's also worth pointing out, Spigot got snared by the trap, as he was pushed backwards. So Fahad charges Pint Pot and just does a Momentous 2. I then choose to activate Mash, because Mash is my only character left, and instead of going after Cena, which I think may in hindsight have been the better option, I went for Vet Minx. Vet Minx defensive stances and goes up to basically a 5-1, which is not great. So I manage on my charge to do a single damage, my next attack to do a single damage, and then my final attack to do nothing. So actually I had a pretty poor showing there from Mash. My intention was actually try and push and then house out her off the pitch. Didn't go to plan. So Fangtooth bleeds to death and the score is now 2-2. So we're into turn 3. Hunters have 5 momentum, Brewers only have 2. So the Hunters play Get Back In There, and I play whatever the card is that gives me Poise. So I choose to give Poise to Mash, and as you can see, Skather has jogged a horrible amount of inches back onto the board because she's gone over the fast ground and she's got +2/+2 from Get Back In There. So she's a very, very fast model this time. And as such, my opponent decides to actually activate Skather first, tries to go for that goal run that he did earlier. So Skather attacks Mash and triggers Resilience. I do Poised, and then look at actually how low on health is Skather. In hindsight, maybe I should have knocked her down, because at this stage she had no momentum, or they could have sacrificed her movement. but then could have still taken the ball off me. In the end, I just do 3 damage. She does Blessing of the Moon Goddess on herself, and then does a Momentous Tackle double dodge to take the ball and dance over towards Spigot. She attacks Spigot, does a Momentous 1-inch dodge, and then will sprint and shoot. My opponent forgot to put the fast ground down earlier with her, but as it's not really an optional ability with her, I sort of agreed that he can just put it down. There's no point in losing a game, well, not losing a game, but obviously forgetting an ability that's actually quite an intrinsic part of a character that isn't an optional ability, so I said put it down. Takes a shot, scores it, so it's now 6-2 to the Hunters. The ball is kicked out. As you see, Skaith has now run off to the side of the pitch, so actually I'm not really going to get a lot of damage into her unless I can get scum into her. So, ball comes out and Spigot snaps it. Spigot will actually then just jog backwards and drop the ball to Esther's. Now, I forget here to use Times Called on him, which obviously would have been quite useful because it was free, but again, it's a learning curve with Brewers. First time I've played them in Season 4, I believe. Played them a little bit in Season 3, so I've got some knowledge. Cena goes for a jog and attacks Spigot, because obviously Spigot at the moment is 2-1 because he's snared. Bonus times does a Momentous Mauling. Does a second bonus timed attack, Momentous Mauling. Takes out Scum, so there goes my chance on taking out potentially Skaither. Then does a Momentous 4, which goes up to 5 because I'm snared, but back down to 4 because I'm tough-hided. But still takes out Spigot. So it's now 9-2 in favour of the Hunters, and I'm rapidly losing control of the middle. Thank you, Cena. So I sort of look around, just trying to figure out what the best option is for me here. So in the end, I decide to activate Pint Pot. He sort of moves in. He uses a bottle to use Smashing Face, hits everyone around him, does 2 damage, and the bleed condition. Declares an attack on Minx, who declares a counter-attack, so I choose a Momentous Knockdown on the attack. I then choose to attack Farhad, or maybe the Momentous Knockdown was on Farhad. Yes, sorry, apologies. Momentous Knockdown was on Farhad. Then I do an attack and do a Momentous 1 damage push on Minx, followed by an attack that does just a 1 damage on Minx. Then finally my 4th attack, again with one of these bottles, is a Momentous Knockdown on Minx, just again to set the 2 of these up that are on the floor. As you can see, Fangtooth has come in on the bottom edge of the pitch here. So Matiagi sprints forward, shoots Mash again, and manages to... Oh, Mash does a counter-attack, he comes within 2. He does 2 damage Harrier. My counter-attack does a measly 1 damage, because he's defense 5. He then snap fires at Pint Pot to do 2 damage and bleed. So as you can see, there's just a pile of characters in there who are currently bleeding. So Mash attacks Minx, he does 1 damage, then he does nothing, then he does 1 damage, and then finally does a Momentous 3 to take her out. I would have preferred to have taken her out on the first or second hit, because then I could have sort of put some attacks into Matagi, but never mind. That puts the score at 9-4 in the favour of the Hunters. Minerva will go for a sprint. As you can see, Mash has sort of backed off a little bit, and he's actually now out of Minerva's ability to sprint in and hit him barely, just barely, but it also means I'm engaging Farhad, which is useful because again it puts another crowd up on Farhad. You know, defense 4 model, defense 5 normally, but 4 because he's knocked down. Just didn't want him going anywhere really. So Minerva in the end chooses to sprint over here. So Fangtooth will just attack Farhad because he's already jogged to engage him. Does a Momentous 2. Followed by, and I think he's only got 4 health left at this stage, does a Momentous double push, again to generate some momentum, then does a Momentous 2. So it's now 9-5 in favour of the Hunters. So I spend 1 momentum to heal Fangtooth, and 2 momentum to heal Pint Pot. And actually now I'm up on the number of activations, just because I've managed to take a couple of his players out as well. So in goes Esther's, and Esther's will charge Matagi, and she'll score a Momentous Knockdown and a non-Momentous 1 on that charge. She'll then do a Momentous 3 on the second attack and a non-Momentous 1 to Matagi, which I think leaves him on about 9. And then she will sing, or he had 9, sorry, when she went charging in. She will then do her ability to clear conditions within 3 to clear the conditions off my players, because frankly I don't like them bleeding. So Hunters have currently got 2 momentum, Brewers have got 7. So Hunters play Grudge Match, and Brewers play Shove the Boot In. Now, I wish I'd been able to capitalise on both of these more than I did, I'll be perfectly honest. I made an error in judgment on where I put Grudge Match. I chose to put Grudge Match on Cena, which initially I thought, well, let's just throw as much I can into Cena to get Cena off the board. In hindsight, I probably should have just whacked it straight on Matiagi. More bonus dice, take him out quicker. Never mind. Again, still learning a bit about Brewers, still learning a bit about Hunters, to be perfectly honest. Haven't played against them a lot in Season 4, which I played a lot against Morts, but I haven't played a lot against Hunters, so that's my my meta bogeyman, I guess, that I haven't really had enough practice against. So I'm going to start with Esther's, and actually she's going to attack Matiagi. Now Matiagi's knocked down, he's got 4 health left, sorry, that was the amount he had left. So she does a Momentous 2, followed by a Momentous 2. Before I do that, though, I actually consider, do I just charge her straight off into Cena? You know, is it worth trying to just throw loads of damage into Cena and do as much as I can? In the end, I decide against it. So yeah, we go in for that attack on Matiagi with the Momentous 2, followed by another Momentous 2 for the takeout. So it's actually 9-7. So at the moment, I'm not in a terrible position. But I've still got 4 influence left. And I can't reach Minx or Farhad with Esther's. Maybe I should have gone after Cena at this stage, but I was thinking that the other 2 have just come back on the pitch, so you know what? They'll be in a relatively weakened state. So in the end, I pass the ball to Mash and dodge forward 4 inches with Esther's, and she then charges Minx. She gets a Momentous 2. I am intentionally engaging Farhad at this stage as well, to prevent his Furious. I do a Momentous 2 to Minx, followed by another Momentous 2, which I believe leaves her on 2. She's not got a huge amount of health. So Minerva will activate next. She'll go for a jog along the obstacle that she's next to, so she's engaging Mash. I consider whether or not to counterattack, which in the end I do. She attacks him, she pops Resilience. I counterattack and push her out of melee with me, because it seems sensible, so she just hardcasts a Harrier and drops it on the middle of all of my models, because I've terribly placed them all. Fangtooth will charge Farhad, thinking, oh, you know, I can get an unmasking off, maybe take out Minx. Forgetting, of course, Farhad's defense 5, and he then defensive stances up to 6. So I waste the heroic on Fangtooth, do a bit of damage to him. In the end, all he manages is a Momentous knockdown, which is a little bit disappointing, if I'm honest. And again, should have thought a bit more really about how I did it. So in comes Cena against my singled out Pint Pot. So yeah, Cena attacks Pint Pot and knocks Pint Pot down, followed by a Momentous Mauling and another Momentous Mauling, and then a wrap, I believe, to the Momentous 2 on that final attack. So yeah, does not go well for Pint Pot, or Mash really. They're not in the best of positions. So I'm trying to figure out now, what can I get? I can actually get possibly a reasonable amount of damage into Cena, so we'll go, why not, let's go for it. So Scum will Shadow-like, jog round and attack Cena, gets a Momentous 2 on the wrap. Very nice. And chooses to clear conditions on Pint Pot, just to stand Pint Pot back up and get rid of that bleed. So Minx then decides, you know what, let's start doing some work on Esther's. So she attacks Esther's, I declare counter-attack. She'll pop my Resilience when she attacks. So my counter-attack, bear in mind she's only got 2 health left at this stage, does a total 1 damage. Which again, disappointing. If I'd got that counter-attack takeout right here, would have been a really big swing. She then dodges off me, and then jogs and attacks Scum, gets another Momentous dodge, then goes to Pint Pot, because obviously she's looking at Pint Pot at the moment going, you know, I've got some crowd ups, you know, I can maybe do some decent damage, get a takeout. Does a Momentous 2, which goes up to 3, because Pint Pot is in a Harrier, and then heals herself for 4. Mash in the end decides to attack Cena and does a Momentous knockdown and a Momentous 3 that goes down to 2 because Cena has Tough Hide. We then look again at Skather. Skather at the moment is pretty far out the action. I'm not really sure I'm going to be able to do much to her, But as we've discussed earlier, she has an insane jog distance, as just proven. And she has something called Cold Snap, which is an AoE that does some damage, which I completely and utterly forgot about. So she hits Mash and does 2, which goes up to a 3 because of the Harrier. I don't believe she hit Pint Pot. I think my opponent rolled really unfortunately low. Spigot will then go for a jog round to. There's this lovely knocked down Cena here, so I'll have my plus 6 dice, so 2 friends plus singled out plus flawed, and start buying some attacks. So I can't remember which of these came on which of the 3 dice rolls. I'm just going to list everything that I just scored against Cena. Momentous 2 down to 1, Momentous 3 down to 2, Momentous 3 down to 2, another Momentous 3 down to 2, a non-Momentous 2 down to 1, another non-Momentous 2 down to 1, a Momentous 3 down to 2, and a Momentous 3 down to 2, and take out the bear. So it's now 9-9, and I heal Mash for 2 momentum. So yeah, get a lot of work done. So after all that, I did manage to take out Cena. Whether it would have been better to have gone somewhere else, I'm not sure. In the end, and then Fahad attacks Estes. I declare a counter attack. He does 1 damage, and I 1 damage on the counter attack on Fahad. So we're into turn 5 now. The Hunters have 3 momentum. The Brewers have 3 momentum. I didn't record which cards we played. Apologies, but we end up with the Hunters get 8 on 8 total, and the Brewers are on 10. So I'm going to choose to go first. And I'm going to start buying attacks, because I need 3 points now. And actually there are 2 quite weak characters next to me, and Estes can take 6 influence. So you know what, let's try this, let's try and drag this out. And unfortunately I start rolling terribly. So I attack Farhad, I miss completely. I attack Farhad again, do 1 damage. And then I attack Farhad again and get a momentous 3. So take Farhad out. So it's now 9-10 in the Brewers' favour. So I'm going to jog through that gap and start buying attacks on Matiagi. I'm going to bonus time all of them. I get 1 damage on the first attack. I bonus time the second one, get a momentous 2. And then I do the final attack and get 1 damage, which actually leaves Matiagi on 1 health. Which, it's so close to being able to secure that victory. I actually also clock at this stage. So anything after this, I'm going to be giving my opponent points. So Minerva jogs and attacks Pint Pot. Ends up dropping a Harrier on all my people again, because I've bunched them all up quite foolishly. It does a non-momentous 3 and a non-momentous 3 to take him out, which actually puts it on 11-10. So I've got to kill Matiagi now, or I lose. There's no other way around it. He's on 1 health. As soon as I finish an activation, I clock. There is no other way of doing it. Mash can't get there. Mash is already snared. I haven't got anything to clear conditions, because I should have saved a single point of momentum. You know, even if he could clear conditions, he's just going to run straight back across that other trap and trigger it. So I deliberate for a little bit, and then go, you know what? Guts or glory? Let's see if the cat can win this for me. Let's see if Scum can get this. You know, Scum does a reasonable amount of damage. The only problem is I can't heal. So I dodge 2 with Shadow Light, take 1 damage from the trap, and now I've got to take a parting blow from Minx. Unfortunately, Minx knocks it out the park. 4-5 hits, something like I think it's 4 hits, 12-10 in favour of the Hunters.